Today we are going to learn about the life processes chapter, nutrition subtopic. So this is the grade 10 CBSE first biology chapter, first subtopic. So under this nutrition we will be learning about nutrition in plants, nutrition in amoeba, and how nutrition takes place in human beings. Okay, so these are the topics we are going to learn under nutrition. Okay, so before that, we should know the difference between nutrition and nutrients. Nutrition is the process of intake of food materials. Okay, and all the food that we consume contain nutrients. Okay, why we need these food materials that contain nutrients? We require all these for growth, for repair of tissues, etc. Now, what are these nutrients that are present in our food materials? The nutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, etc. Okay, so these are the nutrients that are present in our food materials. Okay, that helps in growth and repair of our tissues. Okay, now these nutrients are complex nutrients. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats are complex nutrients. Okay, so as it is complex nutrients, this has to broken down into its simpler forms. Okay, that is what we are going to learn under human digestive system. So nutrition is the process of taking in food materials by all the living organisms. That food contain all the essential nutrients. Nutrients includes carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and the minerals. Okay, so next we will learn about what are the modes of nutrition. We can categorize the modes of nutrition into two major types: autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. So, in autotrophic nutrition, the organisms can prepare their own food. Example, plants. Okay, the organisms which can prepare their own food. In heterotrophic mode of nutrition, the organisms cannot prepare their own food. They depend on other organisms for food materials, which is further divided into holozoic mode of nutrition, saprotrophic mode of nutrition, and parasitic mode of nutrition. Holozoic mode of nutrition, the organism that take the food materials and they digest the food materials inside their body. So holozoic mode of nutrition, we human beings comes under holozoic mode of nutrition because we take the food materials, we will digest it in our digestive system, break it into simplest form, we will absorb the nutrients, then it is eliminated out. The waste materials are eliminated out. In saprotrophic mode of nutrition, the organisms like bacteria and fungi, they depends on dead and decayed organic matter. They release enzymes, break it into simplest form, and they will absorb the nutrients from the dead organic matter. Parasitic mode of nutrition, the organisms that depends on a host. So parasites can be external or internal parasites. It can live externally in a body of organism or it lives internally in an organism. Okay. So this parasitic mode of nutrition, organism take up the nutrients directly from the organisms. They will absorb the nutrients without killing the host, it will take up the nutrients. You can take the example head lice as an example for parasitic mode of nutrition. Okay, so two modes of nutrition: autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Okay, so we will learn about the plant nutrition, that is autotrophic mode of nutrition. We are going to learn. Okay, so nutrition in plants. So, nutrition in plants, the process behind the preparation of food in plants is photosynthesis. Okay, plants prepare their own food by a process called photosynthesis. Okay, few more things we have to remember under photosynthesis. Okay, so what are the raw materials required for the process of photosynthesis? So raw materials are required by the plants for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide and water. Okay, in addition to carbon dioxide and water, plants require sunlight and chlorophyll pigment. Sunlight and chlorophyll pigment. Okay, so plants will take up the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Okay, to take the carbon dioxide, they possess stomata. Okay, the stomatal opening which is present in their leaves, through which plants take up the carbon dioxide. Water, how they will take up the water? The roots will absorb the water. Okay, the water which is present in the soil absorbed by the roots. Okay, sunlight absorbed by the leaf. Okay, internally there are tissues present in leaves that perform photosynthesis. Okay, chlorophyll pigment, where does this chlorophyll pigment present? Chlorophyll pigment is present in the leaf, right? Which part of the leaf the chlorophyll pigment present? So you should know the internal section of the leaf or the cross section of the leaf, where you can easily identify what are the parts present where this chlorophyll pigment is located. Okay, so you can see this is a leaf. When we take a cross section of this leaf, we will get this diagram. Okay, you can able to see outermost waxy layer present in the leaf, it is the cuticle. Below the cuticle it is upper epidermis, and here you can find out the lower epidermis, and lower epidermis you can find out this opening. This is the stomata. On either side of the stomata you can find out the guard cell. Air spaces are present, and these tissue you can find out the tissue, some elongated and round tissues are present. Okay, so these tissues are called mesophyll tissue. Okay, so mesophyll tissue contain mesophyll cells. If you look at this one cell, you can find out this is the mesophyll cell, in which you can find out the chloroplast. Okay, a cell called a mesophyll cell, in which chloroplast, this is the organelle present inside the cell that contain the chlorophyll pigment. So this chlorophyll pigment is responsible for photosynthesis in plants. Okay. So three major steps are involved in the process of photosynthesis. Three major events in photosynthesis, repeatedly asked board exam question. Okay. What are the major events in photosynthesis? You can expect this for 3 mark question. Okay, photosynthesis. So three major events: absorption, conversion, and reduction. Absorption, conversion, and reduction. Okay, so first event is absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. Okay, we learned that chlorophyll pigment is present inside the cell, right? In chloroplast it is present. So what is absorbing this sunlight? Chlorophyll pigment is absorbing the sunlight. Okay, now conversion of light energy into chemical energy. So the light energy absorbed by the chlorophyll is converted into chemical energy. That is what we call it as conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Okay, and splitting of water molecules. Okay, so water is splitted into hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, plants take up carbon dioxide and give out the oxygen. So the oxygen that we are getting is from the water. After it splits, we get this oxygen. This is an important MCQ question, repeatedly asked board exam MCQ question. Okay, so third step is reduction of carbon dioxide. We learn plants, one of the raw material is plants take up carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is converted into carbohydrate. So, reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. So, three major events in photosynthesis: absorption, absorption of light energy by chlorophyll pigment, conversion of light energy into chemical energy, and splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrate. Okay, so these are the major events in photosynthesis. Okay, and another important question for 10th grade, you can expect it for MCQ. Okay, the reaction of photosynthesis. We have a single reaction in this chapter, right? The reaction of photosynthesis. So the reaction of photosynthesis, six carbon dioxide molecules are taken by the plants plus 12 molecules of water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll pigment is converted into glucose. So it is C6H12O6 plus 6 molecules of water plus 6 molecules of oxygen. Okay, so carbon dioxide and water are the raw materials required for photosynthesis. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll pigment, it is converted into glucose, water, and oxygen. Okay, for MCQ, you can expect this question. Okay, how to identify the reaction of photosynthesis. Okay, apart from that, before we mentioned about the raw materials of photosynthesis, this also repeatedly asked board exam MCQ question. Okay, so now we are done with this photosynthesis part, and another important question under plant nutrition about the stomata. Okay, in our NCRT book we have this diagram of stomata, opening and closing of stomata. I will just add the diagram. So this diagram, okay. Better learn to draw this diagram and also learn what are the labelings present. Okay, we learned that in the lower epidermis you can find out the guard cell and the stomata, right? So now we are looking into the stomata diagram. Okay, so this is stomatal pore, and in the guard cell, okay, the guard cells, chloroplast are present. So the first diagram represents the open stomatal pore. The second diagram shows it is closed. Okay, so you can expect an MCQ question. what makes the opening and closing of stomatal pore. Okay, if water present in the guard cells, that makes so that the guard cells swells up and stomatal pores are open. Okay, if there is no water, okay, the guard cells shrink and that makes the closing of stomata. So this question you can expect for MCQ. Okay, then what are the functions of stomata? Okay, so stomatal opening functions. Okay, maybe for 2 mark you can expect. So stomata function is the first function, transpiration. Okay, transpiration. So transpiration is the process of loss of water through stomata. Okay, or excess of water from the plants are eliminated out through the stomatal opening. Okay, second function of stomata is exchange of gases. Okay, so exchange of gases means two processes is going to happen. So one is respiration. Okay. One is respiration in which exchange of gases takes place. That means plants take up oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Okay. Another important process is photosynthesis in which plants take up carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. Okay. So hope you understood what we learned about the autotrophic mode of nutrition. I will just give a recap of it. So, in nutrition in plants, the process behind the preparation of food by the plants is photosynthesis. The raw materials required is carbon dioxide, water, in addition to that, sunlight, chlorophyll, pigment, and you can find out the internal structure of leaf, the cross section of leaf. So the cross section of leaf includes cuticle, upper epidermis, lower epidermis, mesophyll cells, chloroplast, air spaces, and guard cells. You can expect this diagram to label the parts. Make sure that you are learning the labelings of this diagram. Then, what are the major events in photosynthesis? Absorption of light energy by the chlorophyll pigment, conversion of light energy into chemical energy, splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. Then, third event is reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. Then we learned about the reaction of photosynthesis. So 6 molecules of carbon dioxide combines with the 12 molecules of water. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll pigment, it is converted into glucose, water, and oxygen. Then we learned about the opening and closing of stomata. Opening and closing of stomata depends on the amount of water present in it. If water present inside the guard cell, it swells up and that makes the stomata to open. If there is no water, the guard cell shrink so that it makes the closing of stomatal pore. And the function of stomata is transpiration, the loss of water in the form of water vapor, then exchange of gases that occur in respiration and photosynthesis. Respiration plants take up oxygen and give out the carbon dioxide. In photosynthesis, plants take up carbon dioxide and give out the oxygen. Okay, and you have one more small topic related to the plants. Okay, it is the nitrogen, requirement of nitrogen in plants. Okay, so plants take up nitrogen in the form of nitrates or nitrites. So the process behind this is nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen can be fixed by some microorganisms into its nitrates or nitrites. Okay, so this is the forms in which plants can take up the nitrogen. Okay, so the nitrogen is fixed by a bacterium called rhizobium. Okay, rhizobium lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants. So this particular bacterium can fix the nitrogen into nitrites or nitrates. So this is one MCQ question: in what forms plants take up the nitrogen? Okay, now you will think, why plants take up this nitrogen? Okay, plants take up this nitrogen for protein synthesis. So this is another MCQ. Why plants require nitrogen? Okay, plants require nitrogen for protein synthesis. Hope you understood about the nutrition in plants. So after this, we will be doing the nutrition in animals topic.